Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Explain This. I'm with the star of the show, Robin Riddle. Robin, how's it going?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm excited for this episode. We're talking about osteoporosis. Osteoporosis. Guys, this is why she's the star of the show, is because I can't even pronounce some of these words. Osteoporosis and osteopenia.
Yes.
What are these?
Okay. So osteopenia, osteoporosis refers to the breakdown of bone.
Okay.
This is more common in women. So osteopenia is not as significant as osteoporosis. We're leading into it with osteopenia. Osteoporosis is more significant bone breakdown.
Okay.
It's based on your T scores, which is done off of a DEXA scan.
Okay, so not testosterone scores, but just a T
It's
score.
literally called a T score.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So both men and women can develop osteoporosis, and it can. I've got one patient right now that's a male in his 30s with osteoporosis.
Interesting.
Very unusual. Doesn't happen as often. Typically, this is postmenopausal women is where we're seeing this most often.
And it's just where just a breakdown of bone.
Which is normal. I mean, bone turnover is always happening. The bones are always breaking down and rebuilding.
Okay.
But with age, that breakdown happens a little bit faster than the rebuild does. And so we can start to have a breakdown of the bone, a demineralization.
Is this something that only you can get through a DEXA scan, or is this something like you can kind of feel coming on, or is it just a time of life?
You can kind of, to an extent, you can assume, I can look at someone and they're postmenopausal and small framed. I can assume they're probably going to have some level of osteopenia or osteoporosis. Most people don't feel this. Some people only find out because they fall and get a fracture. And then at post-fracture, they do a DEXA scan. But typically, this is just a standard screening test that's done, mostly just on women. And we find it through a screening test.
Is there something we can do? Is there preventative measures, or just what if we know that we have it?
Yeah, so lots of things play into this. First of all, genetics. Like if you know everybody in your family has had osteopenia or osteoporosis, you're probably set up for it as well. So knowing young, like me personally, my grandma had it, my mom has it, I'm set up genetically a little bit more so than someone else. So I've started things even in my 30s as far as like exercise and diet and all of that are going to benefit me later on down the road. Okay. So trying to avoid it from a young age, definitely beneficial. There's certain medications, steroids are the worst for this, like long-term steroid use, which we didn't know so much back in the day. We know that a lot more now. But long-term steroid use can be a risk factor for this. And menopause is a huge thing that tends to lead to this. So earlier menopause tends to be even more of a risk factor for this.
So it's not you're going through menopause, automatically osteoporosis comes with it.
Correct.
Just
not
a little more susceptible to it.
Just a risk. It's a risk factor. So, women who have like a total hysterectomy in their 30s are going to be a much higher risk than a woman who naturally goes through menopause in her 60s.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So if you're diagnosed with osteopenia or osteoporosis, depending on the severity of it, there's a lot of different things that can be done. Yeah. So I see the whole gamut of things. Some patients I see, they've been diagnosed and it's just like, yeah, go out and live your life. We'll check it again in 5 years, which is not the best approach. Or some are told that they have this and it's like, hey, we've got to stick you on this medication. There's all these risks to these medications, but we're still just going to start it because that's what we know to do. Yep. We kind of fall in the middle here at Performance Medicine. We're not just going to say, hey, yeah, you've got that. Go live your life and we'll wait for you to have a fracture or wait for it to get worse. But we're also not jumping straight to these intensive osteo medications. There is a middle ground there. So with a new diagnosis, first thing that I talk about is weight-bearing exercise. Yep. This is huge for this. And all different ways to do this. You can do this at home. You can have some weights and watch some social media stuff or some videos. Or there are, like at least here in Knoxville, there's in-person places that you can go that are specialized in osteo.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
That's
so there's
cool.
a place here.
That's super cool.
Shout out to Osteo Strong. It's down in Farragut, and
That's
they
awesome.
are specific for helping women learn, or people with osteoporosis and osteopenia, learn how to exercise to help support that.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I love that.
Some social media accounts, Got Buff Bones and Menopause Pilates are some good social media accounts that can be followed, and they give a lot of tips on there too. But weight-bearing exercise, super, super important. Okay. I tell people if you're only going for walks, put like a weighted vest on or hold, weights in your hands. Those little sandbag things for the ankles. I think they still make those. I remember them back when I was young. Something like that. Anything to add a little bit of extra weight on top of you, super helpful. But weightlifting, like being in the gym, lifting weights is super, super helpful for this. Yep. Diet-wise, increasing the intake of protein and calcium. in the diet
Interesting.
are both super important.
Okay.
It used to be kind of a baseline thing that we would tell everybody, like, take a calcium supplement. Every woman of, menopausal age was put on calcium. They started realizing that's not always the best option. Calcium can find its way to places that we don't want it to be in the body.
Right.
So the recommendation now is we need to be getting around 1,000 milligrams a day of calcium through our diet.
Okay.
If we're not doing that, then we add on a supplement and get to around 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams total per day of calcium.
Now, super ignorant, calcium, green leafy?
Yep,
leafy
and
greens?
dairy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can count up kind of what you're eating, get a general idea of how much calcium's in it. If you're not hitting enough, add a calcium supplement to get you up to that max of 1,200 milligrams daily.
Okay.
And then protein. We always need protein. Protein's great for supporting muscle, supporting the body. I generally recommend between 0.5 gram to 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight.
Okay.
So if somebody's super overweight, we're not trying to eat to their overweight range, but say you weigh 200 pounds and you should weigh 150, we're basing it on the 150 pounds.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Ideal body weight.
Okay. So now we're going to, you didn't mention supplementing with calcium, but there are supplements you like.
Yeah, there's some other supplements too. So vitamin D with K, super, super important. The K is there to tell the calcium where to go.
Okay.
So vitamin D with K, typically I'm recommending 5,000 IUs a day, but this does depend on blood levels. So this is one that I do like to check blood levels and monitor. If blood levels are super, super low when we first check them, I might do higher dose supplementation initially to get those levels up faster.
Of vitamin D?
Of vitamin D,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So ideal blood level range for vitamin D is going to be between 60 to 80 or 60 to 100, depending on who you ask.
Okay.
If you look at lab ranges, normal is 30 and up. But for us, 30 is low. We need our vitamin D at least over 60.
At least a 60.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can get too high on vitamin D, so don't overdo it.
Okay.
That is something that needs to be monitored. Magnesium, 300 to 500 milligrams a day. Everybody should be on magnesium anyways. I love magnesium for all the things, but it is good for this as well. Boron, standard recommendation is about 3 milligrams a day on boron. Good B complex, and then some collagen peptides are super helpful as well.
And like if you're with somebody who, did get diagnosed with osteoporosis, are you recommending this entire regimen or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So
Give the whole list.
Oh,
Yep.
Get the whole list.
Yep. And then a big thing.
Okay. What's the big
that
thing?
is super helpful.
Okay.
Hormones.
Yeah.
That's what we do here.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of what we do here. Bioidentical hormone replacement therapy is super helpful. So testosterone replacement therapy, if it's a man that's got osteo, or going on estrogen, progesterone, testosterone combination for women.
Great for osteoporosis
Absolutely.
and osteopenia.
Yep, absolutely. So it can help to halt the progression, and it can actually help to reverse progression, and it can help to prevent ever getting into this category to begin with.
Can you have osteoporosis and then not have osteoporosis?
You can go from, so osteoporosis is the more significant one. You can go from osteoporosis back to osteopenia, and you can go from osteopenia back to normal bone density.
Wow, that's incredible. And
Yeah.
I know hormones are a huge part of that.
Yep, absolutely.
Super cool.
So again, women who go through menopause younger are a high risk group here. Some are told that they don't need hormones. I'm not sure why. If you had like a hysterectomy, ovaries are removed, early menopause, anything like that, absolutely considering bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. Now, there's always situations where hormones might not be appropriate, certain cancers, things like that.
Right.
But if we're not in one of those situations, hormones are something that I would absolutely recommend. Even if this is a new diagnosis and you're 10 years post-menopause.
Okay.
It can still be a consideration to add some hormones in.
Can it be a consideration even if I've known I've had osteoporosis for a while? Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
it can still help. So hormones are huge.
Osteoporosis.
Yep,
You explained it.
absolutely.
Thank you. Guys, you name it, we explain it. We're going to link down in the show notes a couple different episodes that go into more detail with some of these supplements, as well as a few other videos we've done on osteoporosis for those who want to dive deeper. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And as always, we'll see y'all next time.
Don't go away.